Can you hear me, everyone? Hey, guys. I think you should be able to hear me. Damn it, you better be able to. It worked on Tony's show. It looks like it's working from all indications I can see here. Is this actually live or pre-recorded? This is live, Amanda EE. I think I told folks before, my plan for this from now on, I think I was replaying them because I wanted to get everybody a chance to see them. I'm going to continually replay them, but I'm doing it differently. I do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Those will be live all the time, obviously, unless something comes up and I can't. And I will let you know from 2 to whenever we end, sometime before 4. On the other 4 days of the week, what I'll do is I'll replay each of these once. And if there's one that's particularly good, the best, that will be played a third time on the 7th day. So I will be resting like God on the, no, I'm kidding. Sorry if I offended you, religious types. I will be resting a bit on the 7th day. But no, seriously, each of these will be played twice, and then you'll get one of them maybe 3 times. Otherwise, we're live. I like doing this live. It's just, I've got things I have to do and places to be and stuff to do and places to be. And I think I'm just repeating myself. Maybe I need to restart myself. I'm so giddy that you can hear me. It's like, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm used to the first couple of this being like, and what's amazing is during that time when I had to make all those gestures to you, I never once Heiled Hitler. Never once. Could have. I saw a really good TikTok, I believe was on that, where a young woman was saying, if you guys really believe that he wasn't Heiling Hitler, then go out in the street and do what he did right now. I mean, if it was just an acceptable Roman salute, and of course that's the Republican claim, because they don't get the Third Reich was supposed to be the next version of the Holy Roman Empire. That's what they call it, the Third Reich. The Holy Roman Empire was the first. So they got their thing from the Romans. It's not shocking. So you're not fooling anybody. But it was pretty funny. She's like, if you really feel, if Cliff, please label your replay show. Label, I think you meant to say. Confused what day it is. I'll do that. I'll label them so you'll know when it's a replay. I started doing that for a while and then I just forgot. I'll be honest with you. I have 1 or 2 people helping me now, and hopefully we'll be able to do that way. But I've got so much stuff going on that it's tough sometimes. So let's get to this. We're talking about Joe and Mika today. That's going to be we'll call that Cliff's Note. It's not going to be a rant. It's going to be a story, and then we're going to have some rants, which we're going to go with. We've got a couple of folks who are doing bad things, and they need to be spanked a little bit. And we're going to do that. And I think we're going to start off with one of those right now. You guys remember Mo Brooks? Mo Brooks, congressman from Alabama. He was one of the first to endorse Donald Trump. Just loved himself some Trump, even though he's from Alabama. Donald Trump was, from Queens. Like, all they had in common is they both were right-wing nuts and power hungry and didn't give a crap about anybody but themselves. Completely from different parts of the country. It's amazing how MAGA brings everyone together. Doesn't matter your locality. It does matter your race, but sometimes doesn't, as long as you hate your own race and religion. In any case, Brooks was like the MAGA, knight in shining armor. They loved him because he was so early out of the gate supporting Donald Trump. Trump's people thought he was the best. And I mean, he's a founding member of the Freedom Caucus, and you know who those guys are. They're the ones who want to take away your freedom. It's like when they called their plan under the Bush administration healthy forests, and then they dumped a bunch of soot and crap and probably a few dead people in it. Same idea here. Freedom Caucus. So yeah, he's feeling differently. You may remember what happened was Donald Trump asked him to break the law for him on January 6th, I believe it was, which now never happened apparently because everyone's been let go. Thanks again, Merrick Garland, for that. Everyone has gotten their pardons. And Brooks would not do the things Trump wanted him to do, the hold up votes illegally and some of the other things. And he wouldn't lie after the fact about the election. And so he became persona non grata, or let's call him Alabama non grata, or MAGA non grata. And Brooks was basically thrown to the curb. After that, he tried to run the Senate race, and Trump didn't even endorse him. The indignity of one of his first supporters, he supported Kathy Britt. Remember her? I feel horrible about what's happening with the children. That's Kathy Britt. You probably remember her from the Soto response. State of the Union response. In any case, Mo Brooks is now calling Donald Trump, quote, the worst. He's reached that point, the Scaramucci point, the point where you fully have turned on Donald Trump and you got nothing to lose. The guy he once just loved. What was it? Let me give you the exact quote because it's kind of pretty awesome. Donald Trump is the most corrupt politician in our history. That's what he's saying about him now. I can't tell you if you look back and you remember when he kissed his butt, like the way you see MAGA Mike Johnson look up with those little eyes at Donald Trump, those little beady eyes, and say, can I also monitor whatever you do on your computer in your free time, Mr. Trump? That's the way it used to be kind of for Mo Brooks, but no, not anymore. Once Trump screwed him for the Senate seat, he came out and started criticizing Trump and decided he would even acknowledge a little bit of reality that Trump was corrupt and was a horrible person. And, that in MAGA world, they all threw him the hell out. And the fallout was he lost his Senate seat. He was out of Washington, all because he supported Trump originally. That every time, the little thing of everything Trump touches died. He destroyed Mo Brooks's career. Mo Brooks decided to jump into bed with him when he ran. That's Mo Brooks's problem. But the fact that Mo Brooks is out there now, because some of these guys whimper away quietly, and that he's out there basically with a flamethrower, just going after Trump. That's a little different, and I'm enjoying that. Again, you saw that from we've seen that from Scaramucci, whatever. And I'm not saying that makes me love Scaramucci. I don't trust him, and it doesn't make me love Mo Brooks. I don't trust him, but I'm enjoying it. I enjoy the disarray. I enjoy the MAGA on MAGA rhetorical violence. So he said, Donald Trump has time and time again convinced me that he's the most dishonest elected official that I've ever, that the public has ever had to interact with. Let me read that to you again. Donald Trump has time and time again convinced me that he's the most dishonest elected official that I have ever, he had to excuse himself for a second. And I don't think it's because he let out gas. He wanted to make sure this thing got stronger, that the public has ever had to interact with. Yes, he's calling Donald Trump what he is. It would have helped had you not jumped in with him originally and done that years ago. You had joined others who were criticizing him, Jeff Flake and people like that, although Jeff Flake didn't do it the first time. If all of you guys weren't always late to the goddamn party, if you would up front had stood your ground and not in the way the NRA thinks of it, but stood up to this guy and called him what he was when Marco Rubio said he was a con man and now Marco Rubio is becoming Secretary of State. If you all had stood up originally and then stuck with your principles, I know you don't have any, but stuck with what you said, we would be in a different position right now. So no sympathy for Mo Brooks. But he wasn't done with that instantly. He described Trump as, quote, seeing compulsive lying as a game, a twisted exercise in seeing how far he can push the boundaries of reality without being called out, which I thought for a while now. He lies for the fun of it. He lies like he breathes. The paradox of Donald Trump is he seems to make dishonest statements for the fun of it as a challenge to see if anybody has the gumption or wherewithal to take him to task. And if you did, you see Mo back in the day, maybe he wouldn't if all of you did. But most of you didn't take him to task, just the ones running against him in the Republican primary. And then they all laid down like the little whimpering fools they are as soon as he won. Because God forbid you actually stand up for something. And after that, he added, he sees it as a game and he's winning it. And the sad thing is when so many people stayed home and didn't vote, and when Merrick Garland and DOJ didn't do their job, and when Democrats weren't tough enough against Trump, didn't call all sorts of his cronies in front of them in committees we ran when we controlled the House and Senate, and we didn't use power at our disposal to get rid of anti-constitutional measures like the filibuster, and when all the other Republicans wimped out and said, okay, Mr. President, and when our corporate media sold out, they've always been sold out, and so many institutions failed us. That's why he's winning the game, not because he has any talent. He does have one talent, which is knowing that you're all weak, knowing the people he can prey on. Any of you had any courage, you could have stopped him, and if you'd all stood together. So when he was asked now, Brooks, if anybody has the courage to criticize Donald Trump, we should probably end with this. A lot of Democrats, no Republicans. That's correct, Mo. No Republicans do. That includes you. It's safe now. You're not running for office anymore. If any of you did it when anything was on the line, you could have stopped this guy. So I'm glad to hear you call the man a compulsive liar who lies for fun. I'm glad to hear you that he's the most dishonest person who's ever run and pulled one off in the public. I already knew that. It's good that if you speak out more, because maybe more people will know that and will weaken him. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But what you said there about Democrats attacking him and Republicans not, the ones who still care about power over principle, over their country, are willing to commit treason. Well, there's the whole problem. And you were once part of it. And that has been the takedown. And let's get another guy who knows about betraying Donald Trump in here. Tony Michaels. Tony Michaels, how are you?
Great betrayal that I have of Donald Trump.
Had you seen that about Mo Brooks?
No, I have not. I had not heard that yet. Now Mo Brooks, from January 6th to now, he's kind of slowly walked to this position. And I think the reason why is because Donald Trump at one point, I'm trying to think of the exact circumstance, but Donald Trump was basically trying to say, no, Mo Brooks is the one who planned January 6th, at one point, trying to really push it on him. And Mo Brooks is like, he's full of crap. That's kind of Mo Brooks's response.
When you plan a bank robbery with a partner, you'd better make sure you can trust them. If
Right?
They're not going to call the police on you and say it was all you who did it. Again, I feel like I think that was enjoyable because it's always good to hear Republican on Republican violence. It's a good takedown. It's good ripping into Donald Trump. And I'm sure we'll see him up at 2 a.m. sitting on his crapper, putting something on Truth Social about it, just like, the pastor who mildly criticized him. Mo Brooks is a loser. He couldn't even win the primary. The only reason he ever won, even though Mo Brooks was there long before Trump. And again, I'm just giving you objective facts. Mo Brooks obviously is a right-wing sellout, scumbag, MAGA. Any bad thing you can say, he's horrible. He's been horrible for this country. He was horrible in helping Donald Trump. So there's no sympathy there at all.
And he's really horrible at hiding the intention of January 6th when he had a bulletproof vest on at the lips. Yeah,
right.
He's horrible.
It was just after that when it went nuts and the police were looking into it. He didn't want it pinned on him, and he didn't want to say things Donald Trump wanted him to say. Trump wanted him to say all sorts of stuff to further, his conspiracy theories and all sorts of other garbage, and claim that, his role in Mo Brooks' role in things. But I mean, he was one of the top 3 or 4 in the House, anyhow, conspirators.
I actually think Mo Brooks.
Wasn't
Mo Brooks the first? I mean, I know Louis Gohmert, or not Louis Gohmert, excuse me. Jeff Sessions was the first U.S. senator.
The white morons in the South.
Right. Well, I mean, Jeff Sessions, Louis Gohmert, that's pretty easy to mix around.
They're the same guy, basically.
But Jeff Sessions was the first United States senator. But if my memory serves me correctly, and I may be wrong on this, but if my memory serves me correctly, I think Mo Brooks is the first sitting congressperson who endorsed Donald Trump back in 2016. If my memory serves me right, I may be wrong.
And you may be right about that. I'm not sure. There are a bunch who endorsed him, like a half dozen or so endorsed him early, 1 or 2 that knew him in New York. What was the guy's name? Was it Collins or whatever? The one that, of course, got busted for insider trading. And that's a shock. And a few others.
He's a criminal? Oh, he supported Trump? Yeah, no kidding.
There's no correlation.
Right.
But Brooks was one of the originals to support the sedition. In other words, the 3 that were like the 3 stooges that were everywhere in that Willard Hotel and everywhere Trump was early on in this whole thing were Mo Brooks, Andy Biggs, and Paul Gosar. And that's the fact that, and then there was like a next level of people that were off in there, the MTGs and Boeberts and Gateses and Perry's, and he got his phone taken. I don't know what Merrick Garland did with it. Maybe he used it to sit there and look up sports scores or something that rhymes with corn. I don't know, but he certainly didn't use it to arrest anybody.
I'm going to give you a funny fact check here. So, a matter of fact, I was wrong. Mo Brooks, and I'll admit it when I'm wrong, but you'll like this fact check. Mo Brooks was not the first congressman who endorsed Donald Trump back in 2016. It was actually Chris Collins of New York.
I got it.
So you like that fact check? So I
knew he was one
wrong.
of the first. I didn't know. I didn't say Collins. I remembered he was one of them because he knew Trump from New York.
Right.
And he would, involved in finance like Trump, and I'm sure they did plenty of insider trading together.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Chris Collins? Whatever happened?
There here and there are actually consequences for things, just never any of the important things. And don't get me wrong, insider trading gives you an advantage and it harms people that don't have that. So I'm not saying that that's not a bad thing. It is. It's illegal. You should go to prison for it. It's not the same as attacking the Capitol and trying to beat a
Right.
bunch of people to death and blow up a building.
Oh, so what you're saying is that Chris Collins hasn't gotten a pardon yet from Donald Trump? Is that what you're saying?
That's a great question. I don't know. I
don't
know
know.
that again back then he was forced to leave Congress because the ethics committee looked into him and he was being either had been indicted or there was an active investigation into him for insider trading, which I think he was eventually convicted of. You can look it up if you want. I'm almost too scared to touch anything. This mic's been working all day, so I don't know. I don't know if I mess with karma there. But
oh, okay. So you know,
I can look it up on my
I'm
phone.
looking
Let's
at
see.
political article right now, but it, of course it's this is from a while ago. This is from 2016, right before the election, and it's talking about Chris Collins before he was indicted. I assume. I don't know when Chris Collins was indicted, but he's talking about how he was the kind of the head of the Trump caucus in the House. And of course, he was trying to round up at the time, Marsha Blackburn. Now she's a senator. And
there we are, dude. When is this from? I can't tell because, as you know, I don't subscribe to the New York Times because it's utter garbage and you shouldn't. Blocked it out. See, they blocked it out with that little thing over there.
Yeah. Hey, fucking pay us. That's what that is.
I was able to see that he was convicted and sentenced to 26 months in prison for insider trading. Now, did he ever actually serve it?
Yeah, that's probably another question. Now, I actually think that the punishment for insider trading, I actually don't believe that it should be prison. I think it should be monetary. That's what it should be. Like the punishment should be purely monetary. Like like Martha Stewart, they sent Martha. I mean, why did they send Martha Stewart to prison?
Because she was monetary. I honestly think because she was a big Democratic donor. It's amazing how we all end up paying for stuff. But it does say here, you'll love this, of course, because remember, they would definitely do this for you or me, Tony, or anybody listening here. On January 17th, 2020, Judge Vernon S. Broderick sentenced Collins. Stop going down there on me. Hold on. To 26 months in prison. He was scheduled to begin the sentence on March 17th, but it was later delayed to April 21st, June 23rd, August 18th, and October 13th due to the COVID-19 pandemic in the United States. Now, notice we didn't let out all the other prisoners because of the COVID threat. They just had to put up with it. But Mr. Elite Congressman, Mr. Inside Trader, which would lead me to believe he may not be a billionaire, but again, it's about the billionaire class and the mindset.
Right. Be adjacent to the class or helping the class get more of their money. Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet you any amount of money that he is a multi-millionaire and he's of the same ilk. And, multi-millionaires, they're not like you and me. They don't have to go to prison when there's a COVID outbreak because they might get sick. The rest of us, good luck. We might not even supply you with a mask.
Here's news from 2020. The reason why Chris Collins looks like he never actually served a day in prison,
of course,
is because President Trump actually pardoned him.
Of course,
looks like, and that was in December 23rd of 2020. And if you remember that period of time, that would have been right before Donald Trump tried to overthrow the government of the United States, and which he was never convicted of. He was indicted, and they've dropped the case now that he's won the presidency. But Chris Collins, no, it says he was released from prison, so he had a 26-month sentence. It doesn't look like it tells the amount of days that he actually.
Do they show a? Let me ask you this: do they show a picture?
A little more than 2 months.
Is there a swimming pool, like Olympic-sized saltwater swimming pool, and maybe a golf course in the prison that he went to?
Here's a picture of here's a picture from the article. It looks like him getting out. If you want to look down at the bottom and click that little box that I got you there.
I will do that. I'm going to have you come on all the time to add images. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so there's Chris Collins there.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, that was Chris Collins. I think the day that he was pardoned. It says in this article that he served a little more than 2 months of his 26-month sentence before Trump pardoned him. So
and
that's what this guy looks like. 2 months in prison. So
it must have been he served real time. Dude, there was there was a golf course there, I promise you, and tennis courts. It was one of those prisons that people like him, that the rich, that the elite, the billionaires get to go to. Here's the thing, though, right? And in that case, Martha Stewart was a billionaire, is a billionaire, but she had to go and serve a longer sentence, and it was $18,000 or something. It was not some large amount. And again, what I'm saying to you is, this guy, I would agree with you. I don't know if you should go to prison for it. I think you should have to pay a massive fine and restitution,
Right.
to the point of bankruptcy, honestly, because I think that would stop these guys from doing it because they care about money more than almost anything else. But the end result here is this is our system. Well, rich white guy, friends with Donald Trump, Republican, whatever, a billionaire adjacent, and he spends 2 months in prison for something that
Right.
the rest of us would have been in a much crappier jail. I promise you. They wouldn't have delayed it because of COVID. They might have actually sped it up in our cases, like me and you, Tony. Like those two a-holes. Yeah. Okay. Send them right now. And that's why people are angry. Because
Well,
this is the system.
the other person that he pardoned, and you can click that box off to take that picture off the
Yeah.
screen if you want. But the other pardon that Trump did recently was this this Ross Ulbricht. Is it Ulbricht or Albright or I don't know
Ulbricht,
how
that
you
was
say it. Ulbricht.
that was the topic
Silk
of
Road.
yesterday. Yeah, that was my big topic yesterday.
Okay. Well, I missed it because you were having trouble, so I didn't get the flop over on your podcast,
Right.
and I had some stuff I had to do. But that's the dark web marketplace Silk Road, I guess,
Yes.
was the pardon. So he's pardoning all that. It's kind of funny because
Well, I
did
had
he run did on death penalties for drug dealers? Didn't he run on that?
I think he did actually, yes, except for his
Yeah.
friends. That guy,
Yeah.
sold. I mean, it was in the up to $1 billion and everything, and they demonetized me for talking about it yesterday. So you know what? I don't even want to talk about it too much today. But I
Oh, I
will.
see.
I think they did. Again, thank you again, YouTube. But I will talk. I will say this because I think it's really important. Is the thing I noticed in the article that nobody's talking about, but most aren't talking about, and the reason I decided to talk about it is that he's a hero among the crypto crowd because he was
Oh,
considered
yeah.
to be one of the first, a pioneer in Bitcoin and being paid in Bitcoin and doing
Yeah.
these deals in Bitcoin. And gee, I don't know, who's the guy with the crypto scam right before he
Yeah.
got elected? So
Right.
if you want to believe that this guy was let out for a reason, I'd be willing to tell you that it's sort of like when the FBI lets a hacker go and says, "But you have to come work for us." I'd be
That's
willing
kinda
to
what this
almost
is.
bet you it's like,
You
"I'll
gotta
let
come
you
work for
out."
me. You gotta come work for me. Work for me.
Yeah,
Make my
right.
meme coin
Yeah.
rich. Make me rich again. Make me rich again. So,
Everybody does
the
it.
other thing
Everybody
on
does
this
it. Yeah.
is that the Libertarian Party, because we all know that Trump went and begged the Libertarian Party, and they
Right.
basically booed him off the stage.
That's
But the one
silly.
thing that he did connect with them on, and I think the reason why he got the Libertarian Party to kind of ultimately mark his name on the ballot was because of this, because the Libertarian Party wanted this guy pardoned. They wanted this guy free.
Very badly they did.
As it
But
was.
I thought about it and I'm like, look, Trump doesn't care about anybody but himself. We know that.
Right.
His endorsement
Well,
doesn't
obviously.
work. The losers only show up who will vote Trump when he's on the ballot, and he won't be next year or in 2 years.
Right.
So his endorsements don't carry that weight. So it's not for that reason and he's not smart enough for that. And he'll be like, I want to hold the Senate and the House and blah, 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 blah. So it seems pretty simple to me that the only reason I could find in there, unless there's wealthy parents who are giving Donald Trump money, because if you follow, as I said in the title of it, follow the coin as opposed to follow the money.
Yeah, because there's not going to be money anymore. It's just going to be the meme coins.
Right. You realize that if this guy's an expert in that, he'll have an office probably in the West Wing right next to Elon Musk. Yeah, when
Right.
Trump got elected, the whole no felons allowed in the West Wing rule was out the window already. So you might as well invite all of them in. And
Right.
and I promise you, Trump has a use for this guy. He wasn't just released to make the libertarians happy. There is a point.
Can I change
Yeah.
your phrase just a little bit, and then I gotta head out. Instead of follow the coin, follow the crypto. That's follow
you
the
go.
crypto.
That
Follow
probably
the,
would've been-
that
probably would've been a
that's
better
what we're gonna have
title.
to do is follow the crypto for that. Anyways, well, I appreciate you having me on. I got some stuff I've got to go get done. But I appreciate you having me on and letting me give the fact check that you were correct that Chris Collins was the very first congressperson to support Donald Trump. Not Mo Brooks. It was
Hey,
Chris
I
Collins.
pulled that kind of out of my, you know what? I just
Yeah.
remembered hearing about Collins, and I wasn't, you know, and I also remembered that Brooks was a very early endorsee, and there was one from
Oh, yeah.
Texas too who was like endorsed. Like there are a couple that endorsed him very early, and I guess Collins, because I kind of knew who he was as somebody who, you know, is from New York and pays a little more attention to New York
Right.
politics. But
there you go. There you
in any
go.
case, last thing I'll say to you, because
Yeah.
one of our fine folks on here, and I'll ask you if you don't mind for 2 seconds. Did you see the bike shop guru here? The story about the Milwaukee meteorologist who mentioned the big smile, if you will, by Elon Musk, and because she mentioned his Hitler-esque motion on her private Instagram page, she was fired by the station.
Well, these are not surprises. I'm not going. I'm not going to sit here and lie and tell you I won't be surprised. As anyone who comes against the monopoly state is going to come against a lot of pushback, especially in their pocketbook.
And they might have quite literally. Someone should look up, if one of you folks can do that for me, or I'll grab the old phone again, whether that was a Sinclair-owned station, because then you directly have right-wing billionaires who openly have supported every right-wing cause, including Trump. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if that, because they purposely own stations in a lot of the markets that are in swing states to affect things. So,
well, I want to say I'm leaving, but I'm leaving laughing. Not at you and not at your
totally
content here, but I'm laughing at the comments that I'm going to have erection activities, I think is.
There you go. Is Tony ready on a boner ring?
They must
Tony's
have caught our
worried
conversation.
Right now. The conversations Tony has with me, I excite him so much.
Right.
He's concerned he could actually be held liable in Mississippi for it.
I do not want to be known as a criminal in Mississippi. So I'm going to have to head out of here before I am. So, Cliff Schechter, thanks for having me. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Take it easy. All right. Hey, I promised you some Joe and Mika. So why don't we have this be Cliff's note and be Joe and Mika and the panic that's going on. Now, again, I want to preface this by I have not reported out a full story, and I have not spoken to 47 sources. It is a friend. It is a friend who overheard some top folks talking at MSNBC, and apparently the story is they are panicked out of their minds to the point where it's funny that Tony on his show brought up how they're going to interview Bill Clinton in Arkansas. There's also been a couple other stories. Let me see if I still have any of this, if I still have this open. And they all are of a similar ilk, if you know what I mean, which is suddenly they're so scared because their ratings, they had the worst ratings dates in 4 or 5 years, whatever it was, when they did the Trump meeting, and their ratings really have not budged much since then. They are still, nobody's watching. There are times when you can take a brand and destroy it, like a reputation, like what Elon Musk did to his reputation by opening his mouth. And, as somebody who works in marketing and PR, there are times where, if you're Enron, you change your name, or, you're a cigarette company, you're like, we're now Altria. They do that for a reason, because there's such negative emotions and negative thoughts associated there that they know there's no coming back from it. And Joe and Mika just haven't realized that yet, because there was saturation media coverage of that, because when it happened, there wasn't a lot else going on. Like the war in the Middle East wasn't on the front pages. What was going on, the LA wildfires were. Sometimes it happens due to luck, honestly. I mean, it doesn't mean what they did wasn't egregious, but if they did something egregious while bigger stories were going on, maybe they would have been okay. But they did it, and there wasn't as much going on, and they were just every day, right? They were covering top of the fold stories about it, how people were turning it off, and then, word of mouth, liberals talking to other liberals, talking to people in their family. And there was an interesting story here. Let's see if it's still here, on how one of the guests on morning show started criticizing Trump, or started defending Trump, and Mika attacked him. So Mika now is playing the role of, how dare you say good stuff about Donald Trump. You can't do that. He's awful. I don't like that man. I may have gone down to kiss his ring, but I don't like him. He's mean. He's unnice. He's like he's not our friend anymore. We're not inviting him to our parties, and we don't sit next to him in the cafeteria. Yeah, I'm not finding the story, but it was here, and let's see. I'm gonna click on something else and see if we can find it. But it doesn't much matter because that's the gist of it. The gist of it is that going to Arkansas, to sit with Bill Clinton. I mean, still an epic figure in the Democratic Party. Obviously, we're now one of 3 living presidents, a 2-term president, broke a Republican string of victories, all that stuff. And then you combine the sort of power couple of Bill and Hillary, and you go and you do it at his. They probably wanted that interview so badly, so you go to his library, as this friend was saying to me, and you go and you start criticizing Trump on air. Like, they are now trying to do what they can to fake us all out and win back the people. And when I say us, I just mean all of us who were shocked. And even I was shocked that they went down that quickly to kiss Trump's butt. But I always knew they were pro-Trump. And I always knew that it was about nothing more but an ego clash, because Joe was criticized by Trump, and you're supposed to just take it. Trump, there's nobody Trump hasn't criticized. Name him, Marco Rubio, DeSantis, whatever. But if you go back and you kiss his butt enough, and you can offer him something, he doesn't care if you can't offer him something, like in Mo Brooks's case. But you got something to offer him, he'll listen as long as you kiss his butt and tell him he's the best and everything. Well, that's what they were trying to do here, because they realized that that's what they didn't do initially, because Joe got mad, and Joe is MAGA, as I pointed out. He has no control over his temperament, talks over people on the show, yells at people who are guests like Michael Steele, because he's right about everything and he's smarter than everybody and all of that. But now they're different. And Joe and Mika, it seems, both are in a, well, we're going to be more critical of Trump mode. So you should look for that, folks. You should look for that to be coming up, which is they're continually doing things to appeal to Democrats, because, again, they don't realize the damage has been done. They are done. When it happens, I don't know, but job security isn't there. And if they go into negative territory, which they could, they may actually have less than 0 watching. And that would be fun. Yeah. Tina Bradford, too little, too late. Isn't that right? But, in this way, at least they always were who they were. They always were transactional. They were mad at Trump for ego reasons. They didn't give a damn about democracy. Joe was a right-wing Newt Gingrich supporter in the House. He had no problem with Newt Gingrich saying horrible things about all sorts of other people, treating his wives, serving his wife with cancer, with papers for divorce while she was in the hospital with cancer. Like, he was just fine with that. And he was just fine with all sorts of other right-wing nuts. No, he wanted to fit in probably with the New York crowd he was around, who were much more liberal, and he was mad at Donald Trump. That's it. He didn't care about issues. He didn't care about any of that stuff. Well, now he tried to kiss his butt, and he's going to try to make up for it. And I don't think anybody's buying it. Are you guys buying it? Because I am not. I am not buying it. Can't believe it. Sorry, can't trust it. So that's what we have on that. It is interesting, and I was surprised, and it was fun to actually talk to a friend in that universe who I hadn't spoken to for a bit. There's an interesting one. Joe and Mika will end up on Newsmax or OAN or maybe Fox. Rob Law. Yeah, it's possible. I certainly could see Newsmax. They've insulted Fox so much because, again, wherever they are, they're insulting other people, and I think Fox criticized them, and Joe can't take that, so he's ripped into Fox so much. But he'd go and kiss their butts too, probably. Maybe do a mea culpa, kiss Rupert Murdoch's butt. Maybe become Rupert's 6th or 7th wife. I don't even know which one Rupert's on yet at this point. He was married to the current girlfriend, I believe, of Vladimir Putin. So there's that. I'm telling you, once you start seeing these circles and who's in them. Yes, Elizabeth, Newt Gingrich wrote a book on how to twist language and helped usher in the religious right. In fact, he used his PAC, GoPAC, to do it, and did that illegally. Like, wrote a whole glossary of terms like sick, crazy, There really actually was an era where there was some bipartisanship and there were some moderate, decent Republicans. And Newt was Trump 1.0. He was the first to really start destroying, on the congressional level, the House and the Senate, destroying all comedy with a T, comity, where people could get along and could do anything. And Joe was loyal to him until everybody, there was an ousting and people turned against him. And I guess then Joe turned against him because that's who Joe is. The Democrat Party, Luntz, yes, Frank Luntz, who I've had the displeasure of meeting. Let's see. What other good stories do we have? Well, we've got. I didn't mention it in my opening, but if you want a fun one, it seems that Dan Crenshaw is really upset and pissed and yelling at the media because they haven't started referring to it as the Gulf of America yet. It's still the Gulf of Mexico. So Donald Trump, by demanding that change, everyone should just immediately change whatever they've called anything or done or said before and respect the wishes of the spray-tanned Jabberwocky. It seems they're not doing it quickly enough for Dan. He complained to Tim Cook that Apple Maps hasn't changed Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. How pathetic are these people? And mind you, again, there's so many different levels. Crenshaw, I wrote about him as he's such a fraud, right? Remember when he faked that he was so offended because Saturday Night Live, what's his face, Pete Davidson made the joke about the eye patch. And he used it into getting himself, when he pretended he was bipartisan, he used it to get himself a slot on Saturday Night Live so he could joke and get name recognition and all that and win. And then, of course, made these cheesy films of him being like a Mission Impossible guy helping Republicans win. And I mean, he just is all performance, sold out his service. Anything he ever stood for in the service, he's sold out. He's a traitor. And just because he fights with Marjorie Taylor Greene and stuff, he fights with them because he realizes that they make the marketing much more difficult. You see, it's not about the issues. He doesn't care about issues. He just cares about power. But when Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and Matt Gaetz and that whole crew would say things that were outrageous and ridiculous and bigoted and what have you, and he felt like it was hurting the party's image, he'd fight with them over that. No, you shouldn't say it that way. Don't call them Jewish lasers. Call them beams of light that may have been inspired by the Hebraic tradition. That's who he is. He's a fraud. So he's mad at Tim Cook. Hey, Tim Cook, just noticed Apple Maps still calls it the Gulf of Mexico, complained Crenshaw in an X post. Sent a report through the app, but thought you'd want to know. Sad thing is Tim Cook will probably change it because they're all kissing Trump's spot. But this is what a sitting congressman is spending his time doing, talking about Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America. At least he's not from a state like Texas where like 20% of the kids or whatever it is don't have health care and, they don't have problems with their electricity grid where Ted Cruz goes on a run to Cancun and, they don't have one of the highest gun violence rates in the country. And I go on and on. Texas has many problems that if this guy cared about solving them, he could try to solve. He doesn't. And so he won't. Let's get back to you guys and see if you have questions and comments, as I've been reading for something, so I haven't been keeping up with them. Chipmunk Milk, I hated misogynist Morning Joe way before it was cool. And I appreciate that about you. I did too. Never liked him once. I was glad when he came out after Newtown and supported gun safety measures. That was helpful when I was working on the stuff for Everytown for gun safety. I'm not going to say I didn't like his coming out and making some positive statements, but I always knew, he was trying to fit in with this new crowd. I always knew who he was. He's just a complete fraud. He could switch back on that issue like any other issue, like Donald Trump. I'm officially renaming Donald Trump Walking Toe Fungus. I expect everyone else to follow suit. John Adam. I'll go with that. Does Dan Crenshaw, Sylvain Coiffon, Dan Crenshaw represents the most gerrymandered district in the USA. I was not aware of that. I thought that was Jim Jordan. It certainly has to be up there. But that is interesting and not surprising. because Texas is like Ohio that way. They gerrymandered them like crazy. Did Tim Apple upgrade his eye patch? Nicely done with the eye before it. Aaron Duran, if I'm pronouncing that right. That's so good that we're gonna give it. I'm gonna put it on the screen, but be careful because if you offend Crenshaw by talking about the eye patch, then he'll exploit it again and find a way to get on TV because of it. I must be allowed 20 minutes on TV because you insulted it, and then I'll use it as a prop in my Mission Impossible videos, which he did, by the way. Because I'm not really offended by it at all and don't really care, but I am a sleaze. The Gulf of Broken Promises. I like that. Who said that first? I see Jane Clark has it. Did somebody say that first? The Gulf of, I mean, that would be great. The Gulf of Stupidity. So, all right. What other new comments do we have in here? Anything else interesting? I can go on another. Maybe it may be time for a little bit more of a takedown. We in the mood for that? I'm getting psyched up for it. Here, let me take a swig of this. I'm gonna crush it. Not Adderall. That's true. Marie Rogers, democracy dies when the media rolls over and kisses the ring. Where did that go? Of a dictator. Joe and Mika are two-faced, they are cowards, and you are correct. Sheldon Hughes, thank you. I appreciate it. Gifted 1 membership. So there you go. Sheldon coming through again. Which always reminds me, folks, if you can, please, we love our YouTube members too. So thank you, Sheldon. If you can join the Patreon, even the free part, hugely helpful to our show here. And we do accept super chats and super stickers as they are helpful in our endeavors too. And you can also follow me in Substack. And that's really, I've already offered too many things. So I don't know, Jim, if you can grab some of those things and throw them up there at times, hopefully I'll see them. Besides the membership, thank you so much, Sheldon. Earlier, Carl Jacobson, member for 3 months. 3 months, all right. You like me. You really like me. Using one hand, Cliff, really impressive. Are you implying something? I don't know. JD Christie, 99-cent super sticker. Thank you, my friend. That is awesome. And I appreciate it. All right. I think, and I've seen what Lefty Gramps is saying here. I think that Hegseth will get through, and sadly, I'm not sure. I think he will. I doubted it, and I came out and said I didn't think it was possible a little while back, but Trump wanted him that badly, and they are just that pathetic. They'll let it, it's going to come down to like 1 vote, but the fact that it's even that close, just always remember Joni Ernst, who is a member of the military and was sexually assaulted in the military, is voting for this guy. If you ever think that and she'd spoken out against him originally. So if you ever think that you might believe a word that Joni Ernst says again, just remember that. Remember how she's even been through this horrific experience, and she'll sell herself that cheaply. Sell out all the other women. She knows what it's like. So she knows it's happening to other women. She knows it's a endemic in the military. And yet, nope. She's not going to stand up and defend other women. She's not going to protect other women in uniform from it, which, by the way, Pete Hegseth doesn't even think should exist. Women should not be allowed in combat. She's not going to stand up and say that we should have somebody I served in the military. I would want somebody running the department that's run something with more than 100 people before, which Pete Hegseth has not. And the thing that he ran with 100 people, both of them, he got fired because he was drunk on the job and harassing women and financial impropriety, of which they have not explained exactly. I mean, it's incredible. It is really incredible. I'm trying to think from his first term, the major nominees, because I don't know that I can think of, the big 3 state mean, Pompeo was bad, horrible, but he had experience. I mean, state, and by the time he was at state, he was CIA first, state, treasury, and defense. Has there been somebody? I mean, that guy he made Secretary of Defense at the very end there when he was trying to get the guy to help him with his coup that no longer exists, of course. That idiot. But I'm talking about longer term. Has there been a long term person this bad? Nobody I can think of. I hope you're right. Maria says, I don't believe Maria Rogers. Pete will be confirmed. Military will have no respect for him. They won't. How can they? They all have more experience than he does. They all know that he's treated women horribly, and he's done 5 different things, from the drunkenness to the sexual to the financial impropriety to sexual assault and having children with women who are not your wife, all of which would lead to court martial and jail time in the military. So yeah, they're really going to respect the guy above them who has less experience than them and has committed crimes that would be punishable by being literally tossed out of the military and into a jail cell. Really just pathetic and embarrassing and gross. Let's talk a little bit about Tim Kaine, guys. While we're talking about some of the pathetic and gross Republicans. All right, here we go. Takedown number 2, Electric Boogaloo. So Tim Kaine the other day in the hearing, and decided that he would eviscerate a member of Project 2025. You may remember Project 2025 from, hi, we'd like to ban everything that you need for yourself, and we'd like to ban everything that's fun. And we're a bunch of loser incel scourges of society who are Christian right dingbats, DEI hires. I'm sorry, Opus DEI hires. Sorry. And we would like to go ahead and tell all of you how you should live according to our little pathetic personal beliefs. Well, Tim Kaine was pretty pissed about the way that Russell Vought is his stupid name. Yes, to lead the Office of Management and Budget, was part of Project 2025 at the Heritage Foundation, helped write it, helped craft this fascist document that will live in ignominy. And he started going after him during the hearing, and it's pretty good. It's pretty fiery, verbal takedown of him. So he started talking to Vought, and Vought has made the statement that he hopes that public workers go through, quote, trauma. That's what the kind of jack rabbit, let's say that instead, so I don't get in trouble, that we're talking about here. This utter scumbag, this privileged little loser, wants federal workers who are just trying to do their job to go through trauma. He's great. So he sat there with his little Heritage Foundation smirk and his MAGA belongings, and was in a hearing and just so confident, right? No problems. And Tim Kaine threw it in his face and said, so you actually believe that government workers should have to go through trauma? That's your way of cutting government indiscriminately, by the way, not based on where cuts need to be made and some places where we need to add people. You just want to cut the bureaucracy. And of course, you want to load your loyalists in there like some Stalin-esque, like monstrous creation. But in the end, the most important thing here is people go through trauma. That's what you want, you sick that. And so Kaine decided that he was going to quote Vought back to him. So, and if I'm mispronouncing his name, I don't care what the F his name is because he's a schmuck. And so as he kind of squirmed, as we're talking about here, which Vought thought of a Republican squirming is just hearing those words together kind of gives you images and they're gross. Were you talking about the federal workforce, state employees, local employees? And Vought, of course, tried to spin his response. You know, he drank a little water, took some time, thought about it, and then Tim Kaine blasted him with what I would call the kill shot. Your mother was a public school teacher, correct? Nice. Tim Kaine did his homework. You could almost see Vought brace himself for what was coming next. And then Kaine came forward, attacking him and saying, well, would you think that would be a good thing for mom to go through? Should she go through trauma? And, you know, he didn't know what to say. Kaine hit him with a number of things, right? Do you hate state employees? Do you hate local employees? Do you hate federal employees? Do you hate your mom? Who that you hate here? Your mom was a public school teacher, and you think that she should have trauma. It made Vaught look like the a-hole that he is. And then Kaine came forward and very well, like, quoted Abraham Lincoln. He asked him, "Do you have a president that you like?" And Vaught was tripping around. And he said, "You may remember unifying words of Abraham Lincoln with malice towards none and charity for all." That brought people together. It didn't traumatize them into submission. That was a good hit. And then he said to him, "Maybe take some notes." So all in all, a ripping, and you'll get to see a video at some point because it does it more justice than I'm doing it. But that's it. These people have no understanding of real life. They have no understanding of when they say trauma. It's just a word to them. When they're banning abortion and women are bleeding out in bathrooms and hospitals because they can't treat them there, that's trauma, physical and emotional trauma. When people can't be with the people they love because you guys try to ban that, that's trauma. And you caused it. You caused trauma through deporting God knows how many and children you want to deport. In fact, you whined and cried like little babies when an Episcopalian pastor just sits there and says you should show some mercy to children. No, you want children to experience trauma because you're so pro-life. Government's supposed to be about helping people, and turning federal workers into villains, state workers, other people like that. Again, this is the little move they learned since Reagan. As the Heritage Foundation became more radical and more crazy and filled itself with people like this little tool Vaught, this is what they came to believe. Because they all sit there in their little notebooks and chart out because it's funny, it's all theory, because they've never had to go through anything. If they did, they'd memory hole it or push it aside, or they can say, "Oh, well, that was different." That was different. I mean, that was, that's me, and I'm important. Them, their trauma, who cares about them? Catharsis, if you watch Kaine, what Kaine did to this little twit. So in the end, Tim Kaine owned him, and Russ Vaught was shown to be the scumbag he is, and Project 2025 once again reared its ugly head and was shown to be what it is: a failure in imagination, a group of lonely loser incel white guys getting together and drawing up their little gleeful plan, for some dorky club that they would have joined in high school and trying to make the rest of us live their pathetic lives. Well, we aren't going to live in the trauma that you, Ross Vaught, will create with Project 2025. You live in it, pal. We're not going to. And that, my friends, is takedown number 2. In any case, Leonard Leo is a fat old white guy from New Jersey with a giant chip on his shoulder. Cynthia Rice, she is correct. Yes. That is very much the truth. What other questions or interesting points do we all have to make? Folks, what other stuff you want to talk about? I can find some other interesting stories. In fact, I have other interesting stories if we'd like to talk about them. But, Jeff, Mika makes $1 million a month reading a teleprompter. That's knowing your value. Yeah, that whole Mika knowing your value thing. I mean, my God, when they do when the hypocrisy about these people comes out. If you knew your value, you wouldn't be married to Joe Scarborough. I'm sorry. Again, I would never presume to say I know what goes on behind closed doors, but I will say that if he verbally, publicly abuses her, if she sits at the table with the body language of someone who's scared of the guy she's sitting next to and sort of looking down like this, and when should she look up and talk? And if she looks up and then talks, and he talks right over her, like a lawnmower, just runs over her and shuts her up, that's not knowing your value at all. If you think Joe Scarborough is a person you want to spend your life with, you don't know your value. Knowing your value isn't just about money. It's about knowing the value of your soul. Tina Bradford said, "I got to go. Thanks, Cliff." Thank you. Thank you for being here. To finish what I was saying, I mean, again, it's such a loaded term there in the way she uses knowing your value. There's so many different aspects to that. And I'm sorry if she does make, which I assume she does, makes $1 million a month. Is that it? Again, billionaire adjacent mentality. If you make $12 million a year, and again, that's just from her salary. Sure, there's other ways. I bet she does some little mini endorsements of things and shows up. She definitely gets speaking fees to go places and whatever. She makes more than that. So that's it. That's all that value is. Not being in a healthy relationship, not modeling a healthy relationship for other women out there, not having respect for yourself so that you wouldn't go down to the bedbug filled hotel, for lack of a better term, scum filled home of Donald Trump and beg Donald Trump, a guy who was an adjudicated rapist and has been charged with anyhow multiple sexual assaults that he allegedly committed. Like that's your value. And yes, Joe Scarborough Sylvan was a Republican congressman from Florida. That is very true. Back then, he called himself a right winger. Back then, he was very right wing. And even then, I'll tell you something hilarious. Look it back up. I want to say it was 2008, 2004, maybe 2004. I don't remember when he went on TV. But when he was still a Republican congressman, he got up at one of the Republican conventions and sang a Bruce Springsteen song, like in jeans. He was like rocking it out. It was the cringiest dad moment you can imagine. Like Joe Scarborough has always thought he's so much cooler than he is. He's just a loudmouth jackass, who talks louder than anybody else in the room because people just give up after a while. And he convinces people like MSNBC that they should hire him. But I mean, the Springsteen thing made me want to hurl, I'll be honest with you. He is in a shitty band. Yes. If he's in a band, I promise you it's awful. Eggs are $7.99 a dozen in California. That's right. Grocery prices are going up. Egg prices are going up. Remember when Trump promised all that stuff, but then unpromised it, kind of? I promise you, every single thing in the end he blamed Joe Biden for, which was not true, will occur under him. You guys all know that, right? I mean, I know you do. You're here. Unbelievable. I feel like I live in a Shakespearean tragedy from Jason Zeha. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah. Or, I mean, I've thought that before too. Greek tragedy, that kind of thing. But this can't all be real. The Matrix. I mean, I know people, it became a popular thing to be like, I don't like this timeline, but I really do feel that way. That it was altered at some point. I like to say I still feel like it was the year 2000 when Al Gore should have become president. Everything would have been different if he had, when they stole that one. And they only won 5-4 and they shut the votes down. I kind of feel like we have since, we got Obama in there, sure, or whatever, but we've largely veered off on a path that would have been entirely different if Gore had won and we'd had a third, and their impeachment against Bill Clinton that was completely politically motivated had failed because that taught them like, well, if we dirty up the president or vice president, and that leads to things like Benghazi and Hunter Biden and, all that. If that had failed and we had won and had our third term in a row and Gore, I'm trying to remember, I believe had majorities. There were definitely was a Democratic, I feel like it was a Democratic majority in the Senate because Jim Jeffords switched sides at some point. But in any case, things would have been different. That's my theory. That's where we went off the timeline. There's another timeline somewhere where like everybody has great health care right now and we've dealt with climate. No, it's still a challenge. It's difficult. It's not to say we defeated it because climate change isn't something you snap your fingers, but Al Gore put in the time, late nights and all that. Also put in the time, late nights when he got 427,000 warnings that Al Qaeda was trying to attack us and actually paid attention to one of them instead of going and clearing brush on his Texas ranch. Could he have prevented all of it? That's a hard thing to say. I bet he would have prevented some of it. I know we would have reacted by not invading the wrong country. The right one and then the wrong one, but you know what I mean. It's like everything goes off in the wrong direction. And again, yes, we elected Obama. That part was great, but it took a lot for us even to do that. Economic crash and that kind of thing. Trump also, by the way, guys, had a very interesting moment. You may find fascinating. Any of you see where is it? I had it here somewhere to read to you. I will find it. Hold on. His Davos word salad the other night. Yes, Donald Trump spoke at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland on Thursday. What followed was a 14-minute marathon of tangents, grievances, and frankly, moments so absurd they might make your brain short circuit. From transgender surgeries to 2028 Olympics to bizarre commentary on dead Russian soldiers, Trump's speech felt like a parody of itself, and sadly, it was real. Here we go to the historic victory in Trump's mind. Trump opened by waxing poetic about the historic election victory, an event that exists entirely in his imagination. 3 days ago, I took the oath of office and we began the golden age of America, he declared, presumably to an audience of confused Davos attendees wondering if it was performance art. Yes, it was performance art. He then claimed he won all 7 swing states, which is news to the millions of Americans who distinctly remember him losing in 2020. Yeah, so we're still talking about that. According to Trump, this was the most consequential election victory in 129 years. 129 years. So since McKinley won in 1896, is that what we're saying? Let's see what this says. A very specific number that likely came from the same fantasy world where his approval ratings are through the roof. And they quote him on that. See, I like writing the comedy sites about him. He blamed Biden for literally everything. True to form, Trump pivoted to attacking Joe Biden, accusing the former president of causing economic chaos, quote unquote, crippling regulations, quote unquote, and the worst inflation crisis in modern history, quote unquote. If only all of those weren't lies. He rattled off a list of grievances that made it sound like Biden had personally gone around setting prices on fire and pulling levers to hike interest rates. And Trump's telling his predecessor was, quote, totally inept, while Trump's own administration was moving with unprecedented speed to fix the disasters Biden supposedly left behind. Yeah, like a great economy and no longer being in Afghanistan and having the stock market at record levels and having passed an infrastructure bill that has done God knows what to build up all sorts of structures, 2 bridges we had falling apart here. It's across the country and got us out of the crisis, the pandemic in 2020, and got people back to work and allowed seniors through Medicare who have Medicare to bulk negotiate for drugs or the Medicare to do it. So they're paying like half the price and, all that stuff, all the terrible stuff that Biden left for. The irony of Trump calling anyone inept while serving up his incoherent word salad was apparently lost on him. It always is. The bizarre detours. And then came the real gems, the detours. Somehow Trump managed to veer from his standard anti-Biden tirade to lamenting the state of transgender surgeries and the war in Ukraine. You could see the relation there and that he is not sundowning and in dementia when he jumps from one of those to one of the other things like, hey, how are you? Last night, the grouper I ate. Oh, it was delicious. It was delicious. So, yeah, did you see Gladiator 2? What did you think of that? That character was terrible. I mean, it's just jumping from one thing to another. There's no actual sort of train of thought. It's more like a derailed boxcar of thought. But he did manage to veer into his standard anti-Biden tirade, limiting the state of, we already said that. He offered his usual brand of vague moral outrage and implied that his policies would somehow fix everything, though there were no specifics. The specifics were missing. Hey, it's infrastructure week again, everyone. And also, he has concepts of a plan for healthcare. He also found time to praise the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, presumably as a self-congratulatory nod to an event he had no involvement in planning. Yes, it's because of Trump that they did that, even though it's not because of Trump that they did that. For reasons unclear to anyone but Trump, he brought up dead Russian soldiers in a tone that can only be described as unsettling. Well, everything Trump says is pretty unsettling. But yeah, dead Russian soldiers, what are you talking about? You just were saying something about transgender surgeries, and before that, you were saying something about the Olympics and now dead Russian soldiers. Where's the connection here? Trump's Davos speech wasn't just a train wreck; it was a strategy, a rambling, nonsensical strategy, sure, but a strategy nonetheless. I don't know if I agree with that because I don't think he has the strategic power. By throwing everything at the wall, trans issues, Biden bashing, economic scaremongering, he's betting that something will stick with his audience, whether it's outrage, confusion, or a bizarre form of amusement. He knows how to dominate the conversation. Well, he does. He does know that. I mean, I'll give him that. His strategies, he just gets up and acts like an idiot, and he knows he'll get coverage for it. His pea brain has learned that aspect of things. But the strategy of the specific things he talked about, I don't agree with. I think that's all grievance and anger and blah, blah, blah. It's just, he knows he throws a lot of stuff out there and it's hard to fact check him. And of course he gets, he's like, hey, they pay attention to me. I sound really smart. I really do. I'm a genius. Everybody tells me I'm a genius. In any case, and while the rest of us are busy trying to untangle his rhetoric, Trump's ultimate goal remains the same: to keep himself at the center of attention. Facts be damned. Yeah, we know that. This is about over, so you know. At this point, it's almost impressive how much nonsense Trump can pack into 14 minutes. Almost. But for those of us who value coherence, honesty, and, actual solutions to problems, his Davos diatribe was a stark reminder of the chaos he's made his brand. Buckle up, folks. The golden age is shaping up to be a long one and an exhausting circus. Da-da-da! We give you Donald Trump. Matthew Tarpley, what do you have there? You have, I know you remember his word salad from a year ago. When they fire up their, sorry, I lost you for a second. They fire up their plants and all that pollution comes over the seas and it comes right over our land and then they want us to, yeah. I mean, he often goes on these things. I think it's more, when does he not go on a rant and sound like a fool? Why the F is the Heritage Foundation pushing their agenda? Who does it serve from Talia? Because they can. Because the wrong people won this election. Because 90 million, I don't know what the number was of people stayed home and didn't vote. A lot of people. And because our corporate media is corrupt and full of crap and didn't tell people the truth and tell people the differences and the stakes of this election and other stuff. But yes, that's why the Heritage Foundation gets to do it. Not because anybody supports them and all of their policies in Project 2025. So they have anywhere from between like a 15% and at best maybe 40% approval rating. Nobody wants them to do any of that crap. To find everybody, like name 5 people that have called you a genius. Denise Rossler. Yeah, I'd like to hear that. Sure, he'd make it up and, be like, or just be like Don Jr. and, Tiffany did. And my doctor, that guy with the crazy long hair, you remember that guy, Newman, or whatever his name was? And after we went out in the cold the other day, after we were able to separate Eric's tongue from the flagpole, we did, although he was dripping a little bit. He'll never be able to name anybody real. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, I guess his kids will probably call him a genius, but, Clover. Mary Trump uses a voice filter to make him sound like a chipmunk. Ooh, I kind of like that idea. Maybe we'll get something like that on the show. Somebody say Stormy Daniels turned 60. Oh, happy birthday if that is true. Donald gave Afghanistan back to the Taliban from Elizabeth. Yes, he did. And again, I will plug my Substack and say it's free. Please go subscribe. It's just substack.com/Cliff's Edge. There's no underscore in that one because I'm able to just get Cliff's Edge. Go, please subscribe. I wrote about the fact that his releasing the 1,500 scumbags he released, domestic terrorists, was reminiscent of his releasing the 5,000 Taliban fighters who had attacked our troops. And a couple of those guys went back and actually participated in attacks after that. Never hear about that from corporate media, do you? He sat there with people that had murdered Americans, well, in both cases. And he invited them to Camp David in the case of the Taliban. He literally sat there with terrorists and made a deal with them. And then he sat there with terrorists who attacked our capital and made a deal with them and let them out. So he's nothing if not consistent in hating Americans and loving everyone that kills them. Stormy is 45. So what was the 60 thing? I mean, I honestly have literally zero idea how old Stormy is. I know she looks very good for her age, whatever that is, but she could have been like 112 for all I know. So there you go. She's 45. So what was the 60? It was, I don't know. It was the Kiev Independent. I don't know. I'm mixing and matching stuff here. I don't think, okay, people can have their differing opinions here, as we say. Susan Bauer, I don't think Mika is afraid of Joe. I think they're pretty in sync, not in a good way. The know your value piece applies more broadly in that she should know her value and respect viewers. Well, yeah, I agree. And that part I was trying to say. But if the know your value thing is more broad, and if she means it in a more broad way, then she doesn't understand what she's saying because she's lying to her viewers. Joe Scarborough, even if you think they're in sync, is an obviously just truculent, arrogant, obnoxious, know-it-all, a horrendous person. I mean, I can again go back to the people I know who worked at MSNBC or work at MSNBC currently. Both. I know both. And not one who came into contact with Joe Scarborough had a positive thing to say. He is a horrible human being. And she is married to him. But I don't know. Again, and I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist. I'm not an expert, Susan, but I think I'm not bad with reading body language, and her body language next to him tells me that she's intimidated by him. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Okay, I keep seeing. I even have Stormy Daniels' birthday now, March 17th, 1979. So I'll know on March 17th to wish her a happy birthday. So what was the 60 stuff? Was somebody wrong in thinking she was 60, or were you saying 60 something else? Because yeah, I kind of doubted that. I had a hard time believing it, but I trust you guys. Who led me astray? I don't know. So what else we got going on? This will be again the part of the show. I will remind you, please, 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 if any of you can subscribe to our Patreon, please go do that. Leonard Leo is 60. Is that what you're saying? Well, that guy looks like he's 112. No, Cliff, I'm so sorry. I was just making a joke. WW. Okay, well, that's what happens often when you come in the middle of a joke. And when you're doing a show and you look down and you didn't see the beginning, it's a risk you take. Guys, I took the risk, and this time I fell off the cliff, if you will. It's going to happen. It's live TV / YouTube / Twitch / oh, hey, you know what? That reminded me. I haven't done enough of this for my Twitch people out there. And I know there's some of you. Please subscribe. There's like some metric they give me of if I reach a certain number of subscribers, it's, I don't know, something cool happens. I'll figure it all out. But you guys are awesome too. And I forget to mention you. And I don't want to forget to mention you. Thank you for being here, everybody who's at Twitch. And I will say, please, 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 if you can, subscribe to Twitch. Just like the people at YouTube, please subscribe at YouTube. Hey, look at that. We got a super sticker. It's 3. And it's not even $3. But I'll take it. Are those euros? Is that a euro symbol? I was just there. I could have used it. You monetized on Twitch, Cliff. I should be monetized on Twitch, Brandon. I've reached all of their things and filled out my forms. So unless it takes a couple days or something, but I am monetized at this point. At least that's what they tell me. So tell me if you're seeing something different, because I should be monetized. And again, everybody on Twitch. So if being monetized on Twitch, I don't know what that means. If you guys can give there, please do. If you can subscribe there, please do. If I'm getting stuff wrong, I don't want to sound like some middle-aged dad, which I kind of am. It's like, oh, Twitch, the thing. I'll get to know it better. In fact, again, I like playing games with my kids and doing stuff like that. It's fun, but we never did on Twitch. So we just did kind of on the game consoles. My younger son has the cool Spider-Man game that we play. And we did I've gotten to the Fortnite thing with them. I played some Fortnite, guys. So yeah, I'm cool. I'm just kidding. But I did. I do like games. They're cool. I just never got in on Twitch. So there you go. There we go. Charcoal Blank, $4.99 super sticker. Thank you. Huge, awesome, helpful. So obviously, other folks, super stickers, super chats, we love them. Patreon membership, we love it. Following on YouTube and Twitch, we love it. There's so many things that we enjoy. And I'll put this back up there because my good pal Jim was kind enough to put it up there. Did I do those earlier takedowns without this up there for once? I've gotten better in that, at least. Like, I haven't had the huge ones over half my face. It is fun getting used to doing everything yourself. I mean, I'm telling you, I used to go on TV and they did this stuff for you. They made sure the lights worked and the microphone worked, and they made sure there wasn't a chyron over your face. It is a very weird thing to have to do it all yourself, but I'm getting used to it. I'm doing my best. That's a good one, Ron. Are you telling me that Joe and Mika do not have enough cash in the bank to have left with their dignity intact? That's what I'm telling you. Because what's enough? I could quote so many movies. I used to quote the Wall Street line, from Charlie Sheen to Michael Douglas's character about, how many boats could you water ski behind, Gordon? When's enough? But I just saw another movie, which if you like action movies, I'll recommend it. Is it going to knock your socks off the plot? No. But I know people like movies around here. We've talked about them before. I just saw Den of Thieves too. Gerard Butler. I'm a big Gerard Butler fan. He's cool. He's very gruff, kind of, and he plays sort of the ugly American. They're in France. They were in Nice, which is literally where we just went a couple weeks ago. So that was, and lived for a bit. So that was fun. But there's a part where I won't say who because some of you may see it, but one of the characters says to the other one, who's very wealthy. He's like, when is it enough? And again, I thought of these billionaires. It is never enough. That's the thing. Something went wrong with them. I think it's almost a mental illness. And again, I don't say that in a way to disrespect those with mental illness. I've told you before, I have ADHD, which I think is a form of mental illness. So certainly I'm not, but their mental illness is the dangerous kind. There's the kind that's where evolution's gone awry and harms others. A lot of Americans go around with various forms of mental illness, and you'd never know, or you might know, and they're nothing but they're terrific people. They don't harm others. So again, I don't want to cast stigma on mental illness. I think they've got a dangerous form of it, where along the way, evolution lost its ability to determine for them, because we're all supposed to gather resources. Right? We're supposed to gather resources because we're supposed to propagate the species. The key is that the species lives on, right? Survival. And you need to gather resources to make sure that they can eat and be housed and clothed and all that. But somewhere with these guys, it went haywire. Somewhere in that part of their anatomy, in that part of their brain, they can't understand what enough is. It's all tied into status and all tied into feeling like they're better than other people and never having to do an ounce of work on anything. And I think mostly the status part, because you're already never doing an ounce of work when you're a billionaire. But like that, to me, that's evolution gone nuts. And I think they've got a dangerous form of mental illness that harms all of us. Same with fascist dictators like Donald Trump. I mean, in the end, we're all have something that says you should be the leader, because the leader can always provide enough resources for their family, in a group, in a clan, whatever. Well, in Trump's case, definitely a clan. But he doesn't. But dictators, vicious murderous dictators, don't understand that being a leader doesn't mean just taking everything for yourself and harming others to help yourself. A leader is supposed to help everybody in the group. And I think that's also evolution gone nuts. Again, I find this stuff fascinating. I'm not a scientist. I mean, went through college, took abnormal psychology, took a lot of stuff like that. Like anybody else, doesn't make me an expert. Read a lot of things. Right. You're just saying they're narcissists. But again, I also think that is. I think all of these things are things that have on their normal levels an evolutionary purpose, but have gone just haywire in the people we're talking about, right? Narcissism, if you have a healthy love of self, respect of self, wanting some attention and things like that, that's good, right? You want to be, evolution says you should want to be part of the conversation. You should want people to like you because you'll gather more resources. You should want to be in a group because that helps you to fit into that. You should want attention to you. If attention's paid to you, then it means you're probably a figure of status. You're more likely to get what you need for your family. I mean, I think you could think about it and they all make sense, except for when it comes to these people, it's gone like from a normal level to insanity level. That's my theory. And I'm not an evolutionary biologist, so don't quote me on it. Although I've read lots of things that are fascinating that take sort of opinions on these kinds of things. I think sociopathy is too. I think there was a time that it was useful to have less empathy, like when you were a caveman. I think we've developed the ability to reason. I think sociopathy, in some ways, is almost a throwback to earlier forms of our species. Again, I could be wrong. Trump's very, very unhealthy. Yes, he is. Yes, he is, Matthew. He is very, very, very. Oops, sorry, Jim. Something about she's still on. I'm not even sure who you're talking about. I apologize. Didn't mean to click on that. I was clicking on this one, the very unhealthy. He is. But that's my theory behind a lot of stuff that's gone wrong with humanity, is that evolution has just screwed us and messed up. And I mean, look, all these little MAGA Trump supporters, can you imagine valuing your hatred for immigrants or people that look different than you, pray different than you, love different than you, or a different gender, whatever it is? Can you imagine prioritizing that over your own job? Like the FAFO segments here, over taking the risk you'll be deported or somebody you love will be taking the risk you'll be jailed. All these things, all these people that supported Trump, that makes no sense. Something has gone wrong there, and I believe a lot of what that is fear. Like, we got the new stuff in our brain, but the old stuff, the amygdala, is still there, and I think they're so easily scared out of their senses by an earlier form of what humans used to. Well, we relied on our amygdala, the way my cat hears a noise and runs and jumps to avoid danger. That's what MAGA is. They are controlled by their amygdalas. They're amygdala Americans, if you will. That's what we should call them. Maybe we should set up some sort of program to help amygdala Americans. I don't know. It's difficult to criticize sociopaths when the president of the U.S. is bilking the country. Well, yeah, but I'm calling him a sociopath. I'm not criticizing all of them right now. There are people who actually have, signs and I mean, again, there's like everything else, there's nuance, there's different levels of sociopathy. And there are even scientists who said, yes, I have some of this. And I purposely make sure to do A, B, and C to treat myself so I mean, again, it's not that you have it or you don't. It's a spectrum like everything else is. And also, somebody I thought said in there, it doesn't become a problem to you. Your occupation is hurt or your family. I didn't see the whole thing. And that's the thing too, is that if you have whatever it is and you can manage it, you're not harming people. It's different. But if you are, yeah. Humans have the ability to fight against evolution. It will be the end of us. Lefty Gramps, are you saying evolution will be the end of us, or or fighting against it will be? I think if evolution took a good turn and we moved in a better direction, it could be something that could save us. The problem is that it's screwed up along the way. It didn't just give us the new stuff, didn't give us our newer, more formed brains and the ability to reason and have compassion and all that. It gave us that, but left the old crap there underneath it that could be activated by certain impulses, by certain, by noises, by speeches, by whatever, by con men. And that's where it screwed up. Maggots are the apes that still need the safety of the trees. Knuckle draggers, triple A 25. Yeah. Again, One of the best defenses against, being an amygdala American is being educated. And it's not to say there are some well-educated, horrible Trumper people we talked about the other day, some of the elites, right? Went to top colleges and all that. So it's not to say you can't be that. It's just to say the best defense against disinformation eliciting just, fear and anger and all of that is actually being educated enough that you can read other things and see what the truth is. If you can't make that distinction, you're in trouble. And you may be in serious trouble. Critical thinking skills, Puck. That is correct. You need to be able to think critically, which is why they ban that at some point in Texas. They're like, we will not teach critical thinking. See, they get it. The elite right wingers understand how to control their people. Oops, that's why that Ross Vaught guy, whose mom was a public school teacher. I mean, it was such a great gotcha by Tim King, because it just shows you what we're dealing with. Again, like they're hypocritical almost by design. It's not like I'm a hypocrite and I hope they don't catch me. They think they're better than the rest of us, so they want to show you their hypocrisy, because that's what authoritarianism, that's what fascism is. They're the in-group. Doesn't matter that his mom's a teacher, because his family is better than your family and my family, so it doesn't apply to her. He's not wishing for trauma on her, even though she works for the local, government in reality by working for the local public school. She's different. She's better than us. He's better than us. That's how they see it. I think he's kind of a dork and probably was a loser and shoved in lockers in high school, like everybody at the Heritage Foundation. That'd be my theory. I've been right and I've been wrong. I think I missed this. Sandra Lester, a $2 super sticker. Thank you so much. As I've said before, we like those around here. We encourage those. So, if you have any super stickers or super chats just lying around that you're not doing anything with, I really appreciate it. What else, my friends? What else we got? I don't have a huge amount to talk about other than that. On Thursdays, it gets, we're on our 6th hour of conversation here, 5.5, I believe we've had. I am running out of stuff. Let me look and see if there's anything else interesting, because I brought a bunch of topics. We have discussed them. I thought they might go a little bit longer. They did not, which is okay. But is there stuff that we should talk about? Am I missing things out there in the great wide world? Let me see if there's anything else. Maybe something's broken during this whole thing, right? Let's see. If not, well, we may end a little early today. I kind of like to get to the gym earlier and some other stuff. So, this is interesting. I mentioned Pompeo before. Trump pulls Pompeo security protection. Wasn't Pompeo like the only one in the... See, Trump will never... I mean, what he did to Mo Brooks, he will never not screw you over. How do these guys not know this? So Pompeo was thinking about running for president this time. That probably offended Trump. He was his head of the CIA. He was Secretary of State. He was a congressman from Kansas before that. And remember 40 of the 44 former cabinet officials refused to endorse Donald Trump, either endorsed Kamala or endorsed nobody. Only 4. Pompeo was one of the ones who endorsed him. You idiot. It's laughable. Oh my God, you schmuck. Okay, President Donald Trump is officially sworn in Monday. Immediately began signing executive orders designed to reshape American institutions. Who cares? He also issued pardons and commuted sentences. Great, we know that too. He has reportedly decided to pull Mike Pompeo's security protection despite ongoing threats from Iran. Pompeo served as Secretary of State for the first Trump administration, continued to have a security detail during former President Biden's 4 years. Isn't that just perfect? Biden let him have a security detail because Biden is a human first. And it's the scumbag he chose to endorse, and he served. I mean, FAFO. This is our FAFO segment, everybody. Mike Pompeo, one of 4 of 44 who stuck with Trump and endorsed him, and he got protection from Biden, has now had it taken away from him by the utterly just human being bereft of any positive qualities with all 7 deadly sins. Is greedy, just gross, gauche, just horrific person who lacks any empathy, is angry all the time, is gluttonous in every way possible. He remained loyal to this person, and this is what he gets for it. Let's see. He continued to have a security detail during former President Joe Biden's 4 years in office due to the threat to his life over actions he took targeting the Middle Eastern country during his tenure. Trump has reportedly chose to revoke the security detail, former aide Brian Hook said. Why? Let's see. It doesn't say. Should we care? I don't. I'm going to go with FAFO on this one, guys. Looks like Mike Pompeo should have behaved differently. Maybe he sees him as a challenger to the throne. God, we really are becoming Rome towards the end there, right? You've got your Julius Caesar there in Trump, who wants the troops to cross the Rubicon and come in to deport folks. And he's even going up against a guy named Pompeo, as in kind of like Pompey, who Caesar was fighting against. Like, we really are trying that hard to repeat history, aren't we? JFK and MLK files are going to get released per Trump. Yeah, I don't think they'll be the accurate ones. Who knows what he'll do? He'll probably Sharpie in stuff like MLK was a racist and communist. He'll Sharpie that in. What's his face? JFK was a Democrat. He stunk. Caesar, Caligula, and Nero. Yeah, he's a good combo of those guys. And every other terrible leader who's ever led. I just found it funny that, not funny, ironic that Pompey, we have an American Caesar right now. We have one talking about breaking the Posse Comitatus Act, which would be really, really dangerous and a really, really bad thing. And bringing troops, that's when Caesar ended the Republic. He brought troops across the Rubicon. There's a reason why there's a saying about that. Cynthia writes, Pompeo, what'd you say? John Bolton got his security detail removed too? Bolton, I'm not surprised. Bolton's been a huge critic. I'm not saying it's not bad and wrong, and I think John Bolton's a terrible human being, but he's supposed to get that. But Pompeo, kissed his butt. Jim Williams is saying Pompeo, he has too much information. Maybe this is like when the mobster knows the second guy or third guy may have something on him. So you don't maybe go do something yourself. You just kind of imply something. And, I don't know. You just released 1,500 criminals, all of whom are violent. Maybe something happens. Who knows? A2? That's right. Come the Ides of March. Well said. I like it. Everybody's getting into the Roman theme here. Cliff is on Twitch. So exciting. Yes. Lombard, whoever you are. And we've got Jesse James. You look like you're on Twitch. Can you guys, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because we're trying to reach that level. It's not even that high, I don't think, but I am not at, I'm going to say hello to you guys and say thank you for being here from Twitch. We've been streaming there before, but I don't know, maybe something's different now, because I'm theoretically monetized. I don't know. But I do thank you guys for being here. There's another platform that we are trying to be on. Thank you for this, Cynthia, as you put up often. Like and subscribe, everybody, please, wherever you are. Twitch, YouTube, wherever you're seeing this. Like and subscribe. We love you. I love you too, man. I love you, Lombard. And I'm mispronouncing your name too. And of course, we're getting, do your sit-ups, your chair. Yeah, that's actually a good thing to do. It's the wrong thing to put up there, but it helps. I've done that before. If you're stuck in an office. Where is it? Snow in the French Quarter. That's right. It's snowing in New Orleans, guys. No, there's no such thing as climate change. It's just made up by people. Half of your abs are in your breath. I like it. We got a workout class going here. One of the other things I always mention, the things that I'm a bit of a buff, film buff and comedy buff and baseball and cats and, all my other interests besides politics. I'm a fitness buff too. So, you want to talk some fitness on this show sometime, we can do that. I don't know how much everyone will like it, but I think some folks will like it. 11 inches of snow. Jesus, New Orleans, that's not good. That is not good. All the red states are getting hammered. Well, something tells me, don't be shocked now, that they will want aid for being hammered by it. They will think, again, they're better than us, that they deserve it. California doesn't deserve it, even though its economy is much bigger. It produces a lot more that we actually care about in this country, an arts capital and all of that. No, they don't deserve aid, but, every place in the Southeast does, of course. Kelly Starr jumps in and starts the conversation again. Thank you, Kelly, for the $5 super chat. Please, folks, think about that. Super chats and super stickers and Superman and Superwoman. They used to call her Supergirl. That feels disrespectful. Oh, the 80s. Superwoman. Thank you, Cliff's Edge. Thank you, Elizabeth. You know how you can thank me? Even for free. Go join the Patreon. Can you do that? If you guys join my Patreon for free, that will be a way of thanking me. Obviously, if you feel like joining for getting the perks and joining for a little more than that, we'd love it. Well, it helps support us. So we like that. But free is absolutely better than nothing. We will take it. Thank you. Thanks, Elizabeth. I appreciate it. And Lefty Gramps, my man from Ohio. He's here for me with the $5 super chat. Here you go. Thank you. I am watching commercials. Jesse James said, I don't know how that works exactly. I will go there. Are there supposed to not be commercials? Did I put something wrong on there? I could have. And I think when they monetize me, they start showing commercials. But I think that's automatic. I'll have to go check. Now, I'll have to see. I may need there to be some commercials. There probably will need to be some because I do, again, I have to pay for this all. And you guys are kind enough to give super chats and join Patreon and all that. But, again, if, I don't want there just to be too many ads. So you guys at Twitch, keep me updated and let me know if it's like a ton of ads. If it's an ad or two during this whole thing, we're on for almost 2 hours. I don't think that's a lot to ask. If it's like, if you're getting like 14 ads, yeah, we got a problem. So let me know. I'll go in and try to figure out the Twitch thing. It's just one of about a billion things I need to figure out here. North Carolina didn't even salt the roads. So the whole Southeast is getting slammed, huh? Well, that sucks. I think if you are a paid YouTube subscriber, you don't get the ads. That may work that way. I don't know. But that gentleman was on Twitch. So that is different anyhow. I don't know how it works there. Maybe if you're a paid, you can be a paid subscriber, I believe, at Twitch, right? I couldn't usually hear you while watching commercials, but I have you on more than one device just for this type of situation. See, Jesse James, he got around that. That's the way to go. So listen, if that happens, because as I said, I can't get rid of all ads. I'd love for you to never have to have ads. I'd love to never have to read them, but I'm going to be bringing some more to this show. I think in general, I think Tony was talking about that in his show, but I have somebody on an old podcast who is an ad broker, and they will hopefully be things that will be interesting to you all, but I will have to do, if this works out, a live read or two. It won't be any longer than 30 or 45 seconds. For all of you who watch people like Stephanie Miller and John Fugelsang, they all do it too. That's how, we got to make a living. So I'll probably do a live read or two. A couple ads will pop in. Right now, I don't have it set up the way Tony does, where it's like, I think it may be every 20 or 30 minutes, but if it's every 20 minutes, it's 6 times during a show for like, 15 to 30 second ads. It's not a ton. I will try to make it so that it's not overwhelming and yet enough that we can do okay. Adam Flag, Andrea. Is that Andrea? You're on Twitch. So what you can tell me what it looks like over there. What's the weather like? it warm? Is it snowing? Is there climate change there? Seriously, I don't know. Tell me if you're seeing lots of ads. Tell me if you could subscribe. Tell me, I'll go look around on my own, but these are good things to know. And I guess it means I'm monetized. Yay. I mean, they did tell me that, but YouTube's told me stuff before that hasn't been true. So, as have others. No, it's not just money, 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 money. WW, you jokey guy. I know you joke a lot now. It is about making a living doing this because this does take time and effort. Yes, you're seeing ads. All right. Well, that's good to know. Ads are, we'll subscribe Friday. All right. From Twitch. All right. So we'll get more subscribers. Yep, I know. I know. Yeah, I know who you are, Andrea. You moderate for Hal, our common friend. We've talked a bunch of times. Sure. I used my Twitch free Prime sub for Tony, but I haven't been using Twitch. I will do it for Cliff this month. Thank you, Amethyst Pony. Ooh, you're making it tough to say your name. Yeah, look. YouTube is great. Twitch is great. I mean, I want to be monetized in all of these platforms. And if people become subscribers, that helps too. And again, any way that I can bring in funds and show you fewer ads, I will do my best. Maybe we'll get an ad-free version of all this on Patreon will be one way to do it. I don't know. Again, new to this stuff. I don't want people to have to watch a ton of ads, but I also, again, making a living is important. All right, guys. Oh, yay. Mark P is here. Cool. See, we keep getting folks here just when I was going to say that maybe it was time for us for me to bid you a fond farewell. If the 14th Amendment is overturned, who will be a citizen? Susan Reevely. That's a great question. I mean, weren't we all technically citizens because our parents were citizens and we were born here? Go back each generation. I mean, if you really want to get technical about it. So is nobody a citizen then? Makes you think. WW, well, good. If you ignore half the shit that I say, then you probably be smarter for it. I would encourage you to ignore 3/4 of the shit that I say. It's benefited others in the past. They hit you with the pizza ad. All right, guys. I think we're there because I'm running out of topics. I'm joking a little bit with you right now, which is fun. I think we've had a good conversation. But I think it may be time. So who's going with me? Come on. You know what it is. Who's going with me? All I ever ask is that one person send me out with a Patreon membership or a 99-cent super sticker or I don't know, $1.99 super chat. Who's going with me? Come on. Don't make me grab that. Aaron Duran subscribed. Okay, that's a subscriber at over at Twitch, right? I'm going to say that's a good thing. So do I have to? I'm still going to say who's coming with me? Come on, just one. Just one. Fair wedlock. I appreciate everything you do for us, Cliff. I appreciate what you all do for me, and I mean it. I'm not kidding. Like, you make this possible. So thank you. I really appreciate it. All right. Is anyone coming with me? Am I taking the goldfish? Sheldon, you cool and crafty man, you. At some point, we're going to add some of these up with Sheldon and Michael McAndrews and whatever, and I'm going to come up with a category in addition to Patreon and YouTube memberships and whatever, and you guys are going to get something special for all of this support. Because I really appreciate it. I do. So much I joke and whatever. It's actually pretty important to what I can't keep doing this without it. So, maybe the ads will change that a little bit. Maybe being monetized on Twitch now will change that a little bit. Maybe Patreon growing changes that a little bit. But all this stuff really does help. $1.99 will buy me one egg. Well, there you go. So you should give it to me instead. Who needs an egg? Thank you for the super sticker, Diana, for $3. See, you guys have now sent me out on exactly the way I wanted to be. I'm in a good mood. I can go make myself stronger so that I'll be here next week. It'd be even louder. So for those of you, when we've talked about replaying these things, I'll pick one of the really good ones. It'll be on tomorrow at 2. Hal will probably send some folks over. Tony might too, but it'll be good. And that's what we'll do. I'll make sure you know when I'm live and you know when it's when we're sending over. But there are people that don't catch us sometimes, and then they just see it another time. So hopefully we're providing that service. So you guys have been fantastic today. I hope that you have a great afternoon and evening. I hope you have a great couple days. WW comes on in after his jokes. $3.33. I like it. You are good as long as your eyes stay light. Okay. That's how whatever deity or the force or whatever you believe in made me was with light eyes. They've been called blue. They've been called hazel. They've been called bluish green. I think some people even called them green. I don't know what the hell color they are, but they're light. So I will keep my light eyes for you. If you keep giving me $3.33, I promise there's no browning of my eyes going on. Never. And I'm not going to repeat your next comment. You can have a fight with that one with the folks in there. Seriously, have a great weekend. You're all awesome. If there's an emergency reason for me to do one of these things, I will tomorrow, as I did in the past with my friend Adam Roth from LA. Otherwise, I may see you on Tony's show if you're on there. My friends at YouTube and Twitch and Patreon and Substack and all those places. Who are watching this, hell, either wherever you are, I really appreciate it. Whatever. I'll just get blubbery on you. It's a pleasure to do this. I hope you enjoyed it. And as the sun sets slowly in the west, I bid you a fond farewell.